His grandfather spent 41 years working 50-hour weeks at a steel mill. He never complained or questioned the routine. Each day, he came home tired, handed his paycheck to his wife, ate dinner quietly, and repeated the cycle. When asked why he lived that way, he seemed puzzled by the question. "That's what men do," he would say. That was the end of it. His father followed a similar path, this time in an office rather than a factory. The environment changed, but the expectations stayed the same: work hard, provide, and put aside personal dreams, health, and time. In return, a man earned respect, family, purpose, and the reassurance that his sacrifices meant something. Now meet Steve, 32 years old. He grew up watching both men fulfill this unspoken bargain. He saw his grandfather pass away just 2 years after retiring, his body worn down from decades of labor. He saw his father divorce at 52, lose half of what he had built, and end up alone in a small apartment, wondering what all the sacrifice had truly achieved. Steve is educated and financially stable. But he has made a choice that would have shocked the generations before him: he refuses to enter that same unspoken agreement. What I'm about to reveal explains why many men are silently making the same decision, and why the reasons behind this shift often go unnoticed. For many years, there was an informal understanding between men and society. No one labeled it a contract, yet its terms were widely understood. Men would sacrifice comfort, safety, and often emotional well-being for others. They would take jobs they didn't love, bury their vulnerabilities, prioritize family above personal desire, and act as protectors and providers, even at great personal cost. In return, they received something crucial to male psychology: respect, appreciation, and a clearly defined role that gave meaning to their struggles. A man's value was tied to his usefulness. As long as he remained important, he belonged. This arrangement was far from perfect. It limited women's opportunities, pressured men to suppress emotion, and enforced rigid roles that hurt everyone. The criticisms of that system are well established and valid. However, what often goes unexamined is this: when society dismantled the harmful elements of that arrangement, it also removed the incentives that once made men willing to accept it, and nothing substantial replaced them. Men were told their traditional roles were outdated or even damaging. Financial provision was no longer considered distinctive. Protection was reframed as unnecessary or patronizing. The idea that male sacrifice deserved recognition was questioned. Those critiques may have been necessary. But what replaced the old model? What new purpose justified sacrifice? What was the revised offer? For many men, the answer has been silence, and silence is not persuasive. Now meet Donald, 35, who works in IT and earns a handsome income. By traditional standards, he would be settling down, starting a family, and pushing for promotions. Instead, Donald lives modestly, works standard hours, and devotes his free time to hobbies he enjoys. He dates occasionally but avoids long-term commitment. He saves responsibly but doesn't exhaust himself chasing higher earnings. He has stepped away from the traditional race. When his parents ask when he plans to grow up, he gives a non-committal response. What he doesn't say is that he has evaluated the equation and finds it no longer adds up. Donald is not lazy or afraid of effort. He simply sees no compelling reason to replicate his father's sacrifices. The traditional rewards have become uncertain, while the risks remain substantial. Marriage once promised reliable companionship, shared domestic life, intimacy, and social status. Today, those outcomes are less guaranteed. Divorce remains common. In many separations, men face financial strain and reduced time with their children. Donald has watched friends lose homes, savings, and daily contact with their kids. At the same time, expectations persist. Men are still often expected to earn more, initiate relationships, pay for dates, and provide financial stability. The responsibilities continue, but the return feels less secure. So Donald reached a quiet conclusion: if the potential reward is uncertain and the potential loss severe, why commit fully? Why accept the sacrifices his grandfather embraced if the reciprocal benefits are no longer guaranteed? Importantly, Donald is not resentful. He is not angry. He is making what he sees as a rational decision. And that calm withdrawal may be more disruptive to traditional norms than open rebellion. For women wondering why some men appear less eager to commit, it may help to recognize that the comparison is not with other women, it is with a peaceful, financially stable, independent single life. The question becomes whether partnership clearly improves upon that baseline. For men who are resonating with Donald, opting out can be a valid path, but it's worth examining whether the choice is rooted in thoughtful independence or simply in avoiding risk. There is a meaningful difference between deliberate freedom and fear-driven retreat. And beyond this cost-benefit analysis, there are deeper forces at work, shifts in identity, meaning, and belonging that go further than simple math. Meet Jacob. He is 29, recently stepped into a management role, and from the outside, everything in his life looks successful. Yet in quiet moments, he feels a heaviness he cannot explain. It became especially clear during a workplace seminar on unconscious bias. The facilitator spoke repeatedly about toxic masculinity and the harm caused by male-dominated cultures. Jacob sat there, nodding and offering the expected responses. But internally, he felt smaller. When he looked around, he noticed similar expressions on other men's faces, outward agreement masking an inner sense of being diminished. Here's the uncomfortable truth. For roughly the past 20 years, masculinity has often been presented less as something to shape constructively and more as a problem to fix. Boys grow up hearing about the risks of male aggression, entitlement, and sexuality. Far less often do they hear about the strengths of being male, about the value of masculine drive when it's expressed with discipline and integrity. Research reflects this shift. Studies indicate that male self-esteem has declined over the past generation. Boys are underperforming academically across multiple levels. Many young men report feeling aimless and disconnected. While these trends have complex causes, one recurring theme is the lack of a clear, positive vision of masculine identity. Consider the messages men repeatedly absorb: masculinity must be dismantled. Male-only spaces are suspect. Traditional male roles were inherently oppressive. Traits like competitiveness and assertiveness are treated with caution. Even the word manly is often used ironically instead of as praise. Layer that onto broader expectations. Men are still urged to endure demanding work, shoulder financial risk, and put others first. Yet what does the culture offer in return? Frequently, it's skepticism toward their nature, reminders of historical wrongdoing, and the implication that simply being male places them under suspicion. Jacob continues to excel professionally. He continues dating and participating in daily life. But inwardly, something has retreated, not specifically from women, but from a society that seems to assume fault before understanding him. This dynamic reshapes how we think about gender relationships. Guilt does not inspire sacrifice. Telling men their instincts are inherently toxic will not bring out their best. Psychologically, people are drawn toward appreciation and away from disdain. What does that mean in practice? If you are raising sons, they need to hear what is admirable about being male, not in opposition to respecting women, but alongside it. They need examples of honorable masculinity, not just warnings about what to avoid. If you are a man who feels a gradual loss of respect, seek out communities where masculine character is genuinely recognized and encouraged. Such spaces exist, even if they require effort to find. Mental well-being depends on feeling valued. At an even deeper level, every civilization has historically answered a central question for its men: what is your purpose? Why are you here? For most of history, the answer revolved around being a protector, provider, builder, or defender. Men cleared land, built infrastructure, fought wars, and developed societies. These roles were harsh and demanding, but they carried unmistakable meaning. A man mattered because he fulfilled a role that felt essential. Pause and consider the psychological impact of knowing exactly what your contribution was. Now look at the modern world. Technology has replaced much of the physical labor that once defined male contribution. Machines handle heavy work. Software and algorithms guide decisions. Warfare relies more on technology and specialized expertise than on sheer physical strength. Many traditional expressions of male capability have been automated or transformed. At the same time, women now participate fully in economic life, which has expanded opportunity and fairness. Yet this shift also means that the provider role no longer uniquely defines men. Women can and do support themselves and their families. The once distinctive economic function of men has become one option among many. So when a young man today asks himself what his role is, what makes him important, what clear answer does he receive? Meet William. He's 27, graduated from college without a clear path, and drifts between short-term contract jobs that feel empty. Most of his spare time goes to gaming. He's not clinically depressed, he just feels untethered. When you ask about his plans or long-term goals, he gives a vague look and a half-hearted shrug. What William is going through is often described as a purpose deficit, and it's becoming increasingly common among young men. When there is no defined role to fill, no clear way to contribute, and no sense that their particular strengths are truly needed, many men struggle to find the drive to make the kinds of sacrifices earlier generations accepted without hesitation. This is simple laziness. William is not avoiding hard work because he lacks discipline. He is stepping back because he doesn't see a meaningful payoff for his effort. He is searching for a reason to commit himself and finding only broad advice like, be a good person, or do what makes you happy, which feels too abstract to anchor a life. In the past, purpose was often enforced by circumstance. If a man didn't work, his family suffered. If he didn't fight, his community was threatened. The consequences were direct and impossible to ignore. Modern society has largely removed those immediate pressures. That's progress in many respects, but it has also created a void where clear meaning once stood. So what does this imply? Today, men have to build purpose intentionally because it's no longer assigned by default. That might mean mastering a trade, committing to a cause, or serving a community. It requires initiative. You can't wait for a mission to appear, you have to seek it out. The upside is that self-chosen purpose can be even more fulfilling than inherited roles. But that kind of intentional search demands effort and guidance that many men were never taught to develop. When you look at the bigger picture, a pattern emerges. The old social agreement offered men a straightforward trade, give up certain personal freedoms, work diligently, protect and provide, and in return, gain respect, recognition, a defined place in society, and a strong sense of meaning. Imperfect as it was, that arrangement gave men a reason to invest fully in their responsibilities. Now, each part of that exchange feels unsettled. The rewards are less certain. Respect feels diminished. Roles have been re-examined or dismantled. Clear purpose is harder to find. Yet the demands and risks of adult life remain substantial, sometimes even greater. From that perspective, male withdrawal begins to look less like immaturity or selfishness and more like a logical reaction to a contract that no longer feels reliable. A man who opts out of conventional achievement may not be chasing pleasure, he may be preserving his mental stability. A man hesitant about long-term relationships may not fear closeness, he may fear disproportionate risk. A man who seems unmotivated may not lack ambition so much as he lacks a compelling reason to make sacrifices in the first place.